Cheers, Matt.
Cheers.
Oh, wait.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thanks
Cheers.
for leaving me hanging.
Well, I was diving into some of the notes of what we have in the show because we have a very busy show today.
And a very busy day yesterday. Yesterday, for a Wednesday at an auction, was quite lively. I haven't experienced a Harrisburg auction. So it was, again, I think I talked about it in the morning, watching all the crowds come in. Today was even more. I can't even wait to see Friday and Saturday, like with the lines forming outside. I took some of our new employees to check out the lines and for them to see the madness of people running in and trying to find their seats. Harrisburg has an energy and a vibe that I was not expecting.
It's intense.
Yeah.
It's intense, but it's good. There's a lot of passion here, and I'm just loving going throughout all the different fairground buildings, checking out all these great cars that are crossing the block.
It's like a maze here. You go like down a tunnel and then you find another lot or another area. Like the area that we sit in is actually not close to the block. You have to walk through a tunnel and then go through another tunnel, and then you pass like the beautiful road art setup. I think we're in the private no reserve area. Gary from Private No Reserve always brings a pretty big collection. Obviously Braden bought one of those Mercedes from his collection, but so check out Gary's Private No Reserve downstairs behind us.
And of course, before we get too far ahead, welcome to Mecum in the Morning. It is Thursday, July 25th, day 2 of Mecum Harrisburg.
And episode 11.
Episode 11.
I can count.
You can count.
I can.
So we are well into double digits. I think we could say that.
I would say we're not well into double digits. We've just dipped our toes into double digits, Matt.
We have dipped our toes into double digits. And before we get into all that's in store for today's auction experience, Brianna, we talked about this yesterday on the show, and I am rocking my shirt from the Syracuse Nationals.
Who helped you pick that out?
We did have some fun in the merchandise area.
But what Matt didn't do was text me and remind me to wear my shirt.
It might be more fun than mine.
And maybe I'll wear that tomorrow, because what we're going to talk about today and what we're going to show today will get people excited, and then I'll bring the energy with the tie-dye shirt that I bought.
But we did have a chance, both Brianna and myself, to attend the recent Syracuse Nationals event. And as promised on yesterday's Mecum in the Morning, I have a full overview. Take a look. I'm on the move, this time in Syracuse, New York, to take in the largest car show in the Northeast, the Syracuse Nationals. The massive 4-day event is now in its 24th year and is held on the 375-acre complex of the New York State Fairgrounds. I'm told on the busiest days of the weekend, there's over 7,000 show vehicles on site, with those coming from states across the area, plus Canadian locales like Montreal and Toronto. As you'd imagine, tens of thousands of spectators come out to see all these cool cars and trucks that are displayed in such a fantastic setting, being parked around grassy lots, under trees, and throughout fairground buildings. There's a lot to take in, with other highlights being the Brush Fest charity pinstripers, all kinds of live music, the modern muscle display, antique bicycles, and Sparky's Rockabilly Roundup, spotlighting those bad-to-the-bone rat rods in old-school cars. It's not just four-wheeled rides that are celebrated, with there being a strong presence of custom and classic motorcycles. Is this the first appearance since it's been completed?
This was just finished this week.
Frankly, there's no other word to describe what I'm in front of. This is show-stopping. You can find celebrities here too, with this year's lineup of stars including folks like actress Candy Clark of American Graffiti fame, and two guys who know quite a bit about bitchin' rides. Dave Kindig and Kev Dog from Bitchin' Rides. Man, first time at Syracuse Nationals. What's your overall impression so far, guys?
We're a little blown away, I'd have to say.
Insane amount of cars, insane amount of people. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Some really radical customs, including the 12 Air. Congrats, guys, on all the recent awards and accolades with that. At any event like this, I'm keeping a close eye out for those noteworthy vehicles that have undergone radical transformations. One of those I found was a former farm truck that packed loads of upgrades and tons of fond family memories. Ed, I saw your truck and I had to stop and come check it out. It is gorgeous. Fill me in on what's the year, make, and model, and how did you come across it?
It's a 39, ton and a half Chevrolet truck. Was chasing some parts down, and I called a guy out of Hemmings living in Nebraska, and I bought the part I needed, but he also hooked me up with some trucks that he had for sale, and I ended up buying it.
You've also included a lot of, I would say, sentimental touches, starting with the artwork on the doors. What does that harken to?
That is a tribute to a farm that I grew up on as a kid.
Besides the all-American stuff, there's also a lot of imported classics, including a one family-owned Swedish sports car with the original purchase inspired by a British TV show from the 1960s. Any future plans for the vehicle or additional events you want to show it at?
Well, right now, it's got 47,000 miles, so it's really not even broken in. We love using it. This past winter, we went to Florida twice. We drove it down twice this Florida. So we just, we go to shows and we just like to display it, and it's something we both like to do, Kim and I.
A car sexy enough for Roger Moore is definitely sexy enough for Matt Avery. Another modified vehicle that grabbed all kinds of attention was a truly one-of-a-kind piece that came out of pure imagination. One of the craziest things that I've seen so far is this thing right here. Now, it was built by a shop that calls themselves J-Bomb Industries, and this thing looks like a total blast. All this plus 4 days of breezy summer temps made this year's event a car lover's paradise. And if you're an automotive enthusiast, attending the Syracuse Nationals needs to be a July tradition.
All right, so there you have it. All
I
of the
already miss
fun.
it.
You already missed it. Already counting down the days to next year?
Yeah, so hopefully Mecum can have something there next year. But that was so overwhelming. I remember talking to some of the Mecum team members yesterday, saying like it was crazy. We got there right when the gates opened in the morning, and then we'd look down, it'd be 5:30 and the day was over. There's so much to see and experience. I don't even think we got to experience everything that Syracuse Nationals has to offer.
I don't think we did, and I'm with you. I think we'll have to make plans to go back next year. It really was a lot of fun, and we also had really good weather all 4 days. It felt like a breezy summer weekend, which was fantastic.
Perfect for the Northeast.
And like we talked about on yesterday's show, the setting there is really, it's a great, fantastic setting for those cars, for the event. You're not too hot in the sun. You've got lots of shade, lots of opportunities to kind of see a lot and do a lot.
That is, and also there's something for every type of car enthusiast there, from the custom trucks to muscle cars to collector cars to the rockabilly Mad Max
Old school,
theme.
yeah.
There is a little bit of something for any kind of car enthusiast, and of all ages too.
And another big development this year that Ed, the owner of that show, was filling us in is that they are introducing more and more of that modern muscle. I think previously the show, or currently the show, is capped by model year. I think 25 years old, which is traditionally, considered a classic when a vehicle reaches that. But what their team is doing is they are allowing more modern cars like the 5th and 6th gen Camaros, the later model
I think
Camaros,
we saw some Lamborghinis,
Challengers, Lamborghinis, as a way to introduce that, because they may not be classic, but they certainly are appealing and enthusiast driven. It was great to see those, and I think that's going to keep expanding as that segment of the collectors and enthusiasts come in and want to participate.
And what Ed told us is this is the first year that Galaxy Media has owned the event. They bought it from the original owners, the people that founded it 20-something years ago. So I think we're going to see more evolution as Ed and his team take it over and see opportunities to add more to the show.
Some of the vehicle highlights that I really like, Brianna, I love that story of that Volvo. We teased it in that package, but we do have a full interview coming with the daughter of the original owner, a little bit more about why her dad bought that car.
And why you were wearing a tux.
Why I was wearing a tux. That didn't come out exactly in the package, which I almost like, because I think it kind of leaves people wondering, does Matt travel with that, just in the event? But it fit pretty well, which I think everyone was shocked.
Yeah.
The reason why I was wearing a tux, the reason why that car had that setup is that Volvo P1800 was featured in a 1960s British TV show called The Saint with Roger Moore, kind of a spy-driven show, and her dad really liked it. So it's a later model year Volvo P1800, but they didn't really make a lot of changes. So that's why she said this year she wanted to have that motif. And you kind of picked up on something incorrect on her table.
She did have a wine or champagne bucket, but there was red wine in it. So I said, next time we come back, if you're going to have a champagne bucket, it can't be red wine. You got to put champagne in it, and I'm a big fan of champagne. So like I told her next year I expect to see, but she changes the motif every year. So who knows what next year is going to be? Something that it was interesting. So after we fell in love with that car, and as I was picking my highway highlights, hopefully we'll see it at some point during the course of the next 2 days. Not today's highway highlight, but there is a Volvo P1800 wagon.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
It's brown. I'm in love with it, especially after seeing, you know, the one that we saw in person. Obviously that wasn't a wagon, but I'm very excited about that era of Volvos. But why don't you guys check out today's highway highlights?
So today's highway highlight is a Gremlin. So very cute car. I love this color combo, by the way. Is that what drew you towards it?
The color?
Yeah.
Well, I knew you were going to be wearing purple today in a purple car, but no, I really just like the styling of that and the name Gremlin. Like when you think of a gremlin, you think of, you know, a little furry animal or something weird, but I think there's a lot of style to this Gremlin. I think it would be like fun cruising around that back when they were produced.
Yeah, this is lot number T125, so it's crossing the block today. It's a 1974, and that color that I like is, and I think you do as well, it's called Maxi Blue, and I like that it's paired to a blue interior. This one has just over 53,000 miles showing on the odometer, and it's got that 343 cubic inch V8 underneath the hood with 280 horsepower. It does have some upgrades, including forged pistons, a performance cam, Dragonfire headers, so I think that Gremlin's got a little bit of, I don't know
power
what,
to it.
I was gonna say, I don't know
Growling
what
gremlins.
I don't know what gremlins do,
growl.
but
they might growl.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, like going back to what we touched on yesterday, is the stories of the original owners. Like, to me, it's like a purplish blue. But what were they doing in the 70s? What were they getting into in this vehicle? But also now I want to know who's going to be the buyer for this and what do they plan on doing? Because I think this is a car that deserves to be driven and have some more stories added to it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I should say, before we focus on what's happening here at Harrisburg, because it does connect, in the package from Syracuse Nationals, we had a chance to connect with Dave Kindig and his team. Had a great time with him and Kev Dog. They were big celebrities there at the show. Very popular.
Nice and friendly. Very popular.
Yeah. And I bring that up because Dave has had an incredible last couple of years with his CF1 project and offering the limited run of his custom Corvette reimaginations. We at Mecum Auctions have seen one cross the block selling
last year, right?
This year in January.
Yep.
And Dave has continued to produce those cars. He had one of them in his booth, and then he had the I think it's called the 12 Air.
Yeah, the Evolution.
The award-winning car, the Riddler-winning car. All that to say is we have a CF1 here at Mecum Harrisburg.
And we told him, he didn't even know that there was one crossing the block
and he was
this
very
weekend.
excited. He keeps track. Obviously, it's not a labor of love. That's not the right phrase, but he's heavily invested in those cars, having designed them from the ground up with his team. So he was very eager to hear about this particular one. And you mentioned earlier that you saw it yesterday, and there was no shortage of crowds around that car.
No, I couldn't even get close to it because of the pictures and videos that were being taken. It's sight to be seen. So if you do plan on coming today or tomorrow, I would definitely take some time and check it out.
Yeah, and one of these times, Breon, maybe we can get Dave on the show, but we can talk a little bit about what makes that car so unique. He reimagined the 1953 Corvette, first year for that iconic American sports car, but he kind of massaged it a little bit. He stretched it, the body, the chassis, all of that to make it a little bit more accommodating for taller drivers, and then of course all of the custom touches, the paint, the wheels, and that late model powertrain.
I mean, he did invite us to go visit his shop sometime in August, so hopefully we'll get some more insight on that build, but also all the other things that he does.
Well, stay tuned. That is in the works. On the Move with Matt Avery, there will be an upcoming segment from Kindig Design out there in Utah. And as we talk about wild custom cars, there was another one that caught my eye on the red carpet. I grabbed the owner for an interview. Take a look. Steve is the builder of this gorgeous custom Corvette behind us. Steve, I gotta know, how did this project come together?
I was doing customer cars and finally got to it. A lot of nights and weekends, and here it is.
Why don't you show us around, Steve? You're the guy who put this together. You know all of the custom touches. Why don't we take a walk and you can point them out to us?
Sure, no problem. It's this 1965 Corvette coupe. It's what it started life out as. Obviously now it's been resto-modded under the hood. I have a GM crate motor, as they call them. LS3 525 horsepower. Made my own intake scoop there to kind of resemble the hood. And that is a tube chassis, lightweight frame for these cars. Wheels 19-inch up front, 20-inch in the back. I restored the car myself, bringing down to bare fiberglass, all the way up, all the undercoats, and custom mixed the paint. I call it Blu-ray. It's got a lot of pearl in it, so it looks really cool in the sun. On the inside, I lowered the floors to accommodate the C5 Corvette seats, Generation 5 Corvette seats. Modified the floor for taller drivers, so they had some headroom. The dash has been filled in the center to accommodate the vintage air controls. Radio with Bluetooth, stock gauge pod, but it has the digital VHX gauges in it. Tilt steering column and an aftermarket steering wheel. Custom stitched rear bulkhead panel, looks pretty cool. Did the flag in the blue. Again, it's a stock Corvette body that hasn't been modified. Everything else underneath of it now is C7 Corvette suspension, TKX Tremec 5-speed transmission, and the LS3 GM Crate 525 horse. It's at Mecum just really because I have to let somebody else out there have a shot at buying the car. I want to expand my shop and try and use this car to do so. It's a joy to drive, and it is just easy on the eyes for sure.
It's so evident that there was a ton of work put into this special car. Steve, thanks for the inside scoop, and we look forward to seeing it cross the block on Saturday as Lot S232.
Man, beautiful.
Yeah, that is one of my favorites. I love anything blue. And
purple.
And purple. Purple's also a close second, but blue. And when I saw that car's consignment page several weeks ago, I knew I had to check it out. And I'm so glad I bumped into the owner and builder of that car who gave us the inside scoop. He told me that he is not leaving that car. The only reason I mention that is that if you are coming to the auction, chat with him, talk with him. He's got so much invested in that car, time and energy, and it's really going to be interesting to see when it crosses the block.
I think there's going to be some excitement, some crowds gathering around it, if there aren't already.
There will, yeah. Let's talk about road art.
Let's do. I love talking about road art. What do you want to talk about with it?
Well, it's a big part of the Mecum auction experience, and that's an easy way for collectors to get into perhaps a new hobby.
Well, not even that, but I think I call it the gateway into being comfortable. If you come to an auction, maybe you're not at the point where you want to buy a vehicle, but you see all these great pieces of road art. They are affordable. They range in prices and variety. You go from the neons to the gas pumps to obviously you can see the pedal bikes, like the vintage pedal bikes and everything like that. So I think it's, you come as a ticket holder or you come specifically for road art. There always is something. Every auction, we start with an hour of road art typically. Today, like you said, we have 55 pieces. I went and checked it out. There's some things, again, I would love, but my roommate is not a big auto memorabilia collector. So I'm gonna have to try to sink them in and try to find places, but definitely a neon. But again, that's just a great way to get used to the auction experience and dip your toes into bidding and understanding how it works. Prices of all ranges. I do want to thank Tori from our road art team. That commercial that you saw was actually filmed at his property in Wisconsin or Illinois area, like on the border. But the entire road art team rallied together. We did a whole bunch of commercial shoots. My son and my father actually broke one of Tori's benches during one of the shoots. But it was really nice when the employees are so excited about what we do and they offer up their homes and a lot of their resources. But yeah, road art is a great way. I know you have some pieces. We didn't go last night, but Jake from our social media team or our photography team actually went to Jimmy Landis's house, our head auctioneer, and he has a massive road art collection. So maybe he's pulled some content that we can show on one of our future shows. But I'm kind of jealous I didn't get to go check it out.
And you mentioned Tori. He's one of our great road art team members. And one of the key things, Breon, that I think people will quickly find when they come to Mecum Auction is that the Mecum Auction employees eat, sleep, and breathe the auction experience and the subject matter.
Yep.
And Tori is that way. I think we have a spotlight on him and how he got into collecting.
I'm Tori Rosinski, and I work for the road art department at Mecum Auction. We are currently in my garage in Belvedere, Illinois, from our headquarters about 30 to 40 minutes away. My dad passed during COVID, and I ended up buying the house for my brother and sister, and and I've decided to decorate his garage where he used to hang out with my own personal touches and make it my own man cave, I guess. The sign here is an old style Cubs beer sign, and above it is Dickie's Garage. My dad's name was Dick or Richard, and my dad was a Little League coach. A little bit of a story behind it with the Mecum family. My dad actually drafted Dana's oldest son, Dan, when he was 9 years old, and eventually coached all the Mecum sons through Little League baseball, alongside Dana, who was his assistant coach. Building this area, this is where he used to hang out, so in my eyes, I kind of wanted to make it my own personal space, but as a tribute to him as well. A lot of what I think Mecum does from working there is they create this environment that is kind of like a wow factor, so I kind of took that. As you work there and develop more knowledge of like what you're actually buying and selling, or what we are as a company, it's a lifestyle. You know, traveling around with the auction it's definitely a lifestyle, let's say that, yeah.
And then you brought it home with you.
Yep, you know, all in tribute to my dad, and you know, it's kind of part of it for me.
So we're back. We're back, and Tori really is a great addition, and it's so evident from watching that package and talking to him that he has a lifelong passion with that, and I can't wait to see his garage when he's done with it.
I know. It's. I think it's a constant evolution.
But stay away from the benches.
Yeah, no, tell my family to stay away from the benches.
So here at Mecum Harrisburg, there's a lot of excitement for a lot of different reasons, Brian. There's a lot of different things that people are anticipating, and one of them is a classic Trans Am crossing the block. I had a chance to get up close with it and kind of fill viewers in. Take a watch. In 2022, excitement was through the roof at Mecum's Harrisburg auction with a 1977 Pontiac Trans Am SE with just 14 miles showing on the odometer, selling for $440,000.
1970s, I've had people texting me about this car already. 1977 Pontiac Trans Am SE, that's the special edition, the real deal Y82 JK.
Right.
But it's all about the mileage on this car. Tell us more.
Well, you ready for this? 14 original miles.
14 original miles. You heard it right, folks.
On top of that, it is the holy grail of Pontiac Trans Ams. The 1977, we know what made this vehicle famous. Put it on the pop culture top of the list of everybody for Smokey the Bandit.
Look at that number, $290,000. The reserve is off by a long shot.
Wow. I always say on these low mileage cars, how the original owner had the willpower to not drive this car. He must have been in the garage rubbing it with a diaper every night because he had to do something for it.
Either that or those 14 miles were so rewarding, he felt like it couldn't be topped.
Right.
$340,000, $350,000. Can you imagine this?
Oh yeah, this is it. This is the perfect intersection of pop culture and automotive history blending in together.
We might get to $400,000.
I mean, at this price and for what it is, I think all you got to do is drain it and put it in your living room because it is rolling art.
Oh my goodness.
Come on, drop it! Come on.
Wow! $400,000. Amazing. What a Mecum moment at Harrisburg. You saw it here, folks. 14 miles for the 77 Trans Am SE. That's one for the history books, John.
Speechless.
And now this year at the Harrisburg auction, we're all wondering, will we see a repeat or at least a similar event with this 1976 Pontiac Trans Am SE showing just 390 miles on the odometer?
This example is one of 643 special editions produced with the Hearst T-tops. And another big difference between this example and the one from 2022 is the front end, with the 77 having that more beak-like look, a little bit more popular with collectors. That doesn't take away from the fact that this is a true collector's dream, and I know all eyes will be watching to see when it crosses the auction block.
All right, we get 10, 11, 5, and now 11,005. We got 11 to bid, 11, 5, down 12.
So we were talking while the video was playing about Smoking the Bandit, and I said the one thing that I like about Burt Reynolds was that mustache. Are you going to grow one for Monterey?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think it would look great.
It will pair well with my cowboy hat, my Monterey cowboy hat.
Yeah, okay.
But of course, what Brianna's alluding to is one of the reasons why that 1977 SE from 2022 broke the internet, for lack of a better term, is because that is the extremely popular model of the Trans Am, that Bandit kind of edition from Smokey and the Bandit, the movie with Burt Reynolds and Sally Fields.
I don't know. I'll have to check. But the thing that just made me laugh, or it's kind of sad, is broke the internet, and that actually just happened. Literally, the internet was broke with the CrowdStrike Microsoft issue. So please don't say that again.
A lot of eyeballs were on it, and like I said, it was a very notable car, and it'll be interesting to see how this 1976 does. Not quite as a standout, but definitely a true collector's piece. And as you mentioned, with it crossing block on Saturday, we'll have to fill our viewers in when we come back for Mecum in the Morning for Monterey.
I hope to see some level of energy like it did, or like the original did, 77, because it seemed like it grew a lot of attention and broke the internet, according to you.
As we wrap up today's show, leave us comments. We do have some in the works. We're going to have some comment spotlights or social call outs. We already had some coming in from to our social media team. So leave us a comment on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you're watching the show, YouTube. Let us know if there's a vehicle you want profiled, or if you have a question for Brian or myself. Merch.
Most importantly is the merchandise. You know, fashion is always a thing. If you plan on coming to the auction, we do have a nice merch set up right when you're walking through the midway, right after you get through the ticket area. You can also, if you're not available and you're not coming, which is sad because we like to see everyone here, is you can buy all of our merchandise online. You can scan that QR code that you're seeing in your screen. It'll take you right to our Mecum shop, but we'd much rather have you here in person. Right, Matt?
Absolutely, absolutely. Coming out to Mecum Harrisburg. It's going to be a great day as we sign off. Live TV coverage of the auction is going to be kicking off here very soon at noon Eastern on Max.com. We'll see you guys here tomorrow morning.